Welcome to the Two Old Guys Reselling Podcast, your home for reselling, wrestling, and real good times. We are at 972 subscribers, and we are not going to beg. We're not going to beg, but we're going to beg.
But please, yeah.
Please.
Please. So
28.
Don't subscribe. Right.
All we need is 28 more of you guys to come in and hit that subscribe button, and don't cost nothing. That's double negative. Teacher Josh can correct me here.
I used them every day when I was teaching.
That's what you do in the South, man. You don't teach double negatives in the South.
I didn't teach English, so.
Yeah. But yeah, 972 subs is huge. I mean, 28 subs and we'll be at 1K. And we've definitely got the watch hours. We've almost got 10,000 watch hours on this channel. So that's no issue. But we appreciate every single one of you that subscribe to the show. We really do. We consider you like family because, you know, we got a lot of people that watch this every week that, like we was talking before, they turn it on, they watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they're faithful to it. So
absolutely,
we appreciate every single one of you. But how's it going? Do you have a good week and happy to be home?
Yeah. It was a great week. It was really hectic leading up to our drive out, just trying to get everything in order and planning for mom, trying to, we dangling the bait out there, trying to get someone to bite the hook. And it's a lot. It's a big responsibility for someone to take on when we're not here.
Oh, yeah.
But, getting that taken care of and then just trying to, I thought I was going to have so much more done before I left, but it was just a hustle trying to get everything packed up. We actually left out on Wednesday evening, so we wouldn't have to drive the entire trip in one day. The more we got to looking at that, 12 and a half hours didn't seem bad, but that don't factor in gas and restrooms and stopping to eat. And it's like, man, it's going to be like 16 plus hours probably on the road before we get there. So made it a 2-day trip out and a 2-day trip back in. My wife took an extra day off on Monday. And on the way back, we did a lot of thrifting, done some, I think about 3 stops. I say a lot. You couldn't stop too many times because, again, of the length of the drive. But had a great time. Plains to Profit was awesome. The people there were great. Met a lot of people that we've been knowing from YouTube and that kind of thing, but also just made a lot of reselling friends that don't even have channels. It was just so cool just to be able to I told them it's kind of like you land there and it's like, I see my people, these are my people. They understand what I'm talking about. I talk to family and it's just like they go, it's like, will you please just let it go, but it's like we can talk for hours about, what we're doing and you learn so much from each other.
I like when you tell somebody, they're like, so what are you doing for a living now? Oh, I'm an eBay reseller. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
They're like, you sell online. Oh,
yeah.
You ever heard about get a real job?
Yeah. Wasn't it Seinfeld? Was it George on Seinfeld that one time when they asked him what he did, he said he buys and he sells and he buys or something like that. He never was specific. He just bought and sold or something along those lines, I think.
I don't think I ever watched any of those. I don't remember.
I wasn't a fan. I just remember something about that, I think. And somebody may blast me in the comments on that one. They may know it better than I do, but that's kind of how it feels. You want to be kind of vague sometimes. Oh, I just buy and sell, Yeah. Because people just don't understand usually.
Well, it's kind of, we run into a person we knew this week, and she made the comment. She said about one of the thrift stores, they had changed the policy on returns. She said, yeah, people was buying stuff, throwing it on eBay, and if it didn't sell in 2 weeks, they was bringing it back. And I'm like, well, that's not really how that works. So, but that's the general consensus is you're trying to make a quick buck. That's the general consensus. And I don't know how many people I've heard say, well, you shouldn't be buying this stuff to sell it or whatever, you're robbing people, but it's okay. Here's the difference. If you buy it for personal use and you use it for a year and then you decide to throw it in a yard sale, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you buy it with the intent to just turn around and sell it again, that's no longer okay. But I mean, it's, to me, it's as valid as a used car salesman going to an auction and buying a car putting time and money into it and turning around and throwing it out on a car lot. Is he robbing people? No, he bought the risk and he reaps the reward. Sometimes he don't reap the reward. Guess what?
That's right.
Sometimes we don't reap the reward,
That's
but
it.
you know.
You know, I think sometimes some of the people that get so frustrated maybe are more collectors than anybody else that have been hitting up thrift shops and stuff for underpriced valuables for years. And now, I mean, there are a lot of resellers. I mean, I'm not going to be ashamed to admit it. We're there, you know, when they roll the cart out and I see 2 vintage Pyrex dishes in perfect condition and I grab them as the cart's rolling by and if somebody walks by, you know how much them are worth? I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to you can buy it for me later if you want to. I'm going to turn that 6 into 50, buddy. You know, I'm not putting it on the shelf. But I think sometimes that might be part of it too. I don't know. But, you know, I've been in one of our thrifts. I know they all do it, but I mean, I witnessed this. There are certain times, I don't know when it's scheduled, but they go through those same big old rolling bins, those big plastic bins that they bring the stuff out in, the hard goods. I've been there, man, where they were rolling through and they had 3 or 4 people going through and they were just like the glasswares and ceramics and all that stuff. And they're just chunking them in there and they're busting all to pieces. I mean, it's just big blue dump carts. I mean, it's time to clear out because they're getting cluttered in the back and they got to get new stuff out. And when it don't sell, eventually they just discard it. It's not passed to another store. And I'm sure some things maybe are rotated. I heard that Goodwill will sometimes pull inventory and shift some of it to a different store to have a different, different buying group maybe to look at it. But I don't even know how true that is. I know they throw a lot of stuff away. I think we're saving stuff in the landfill. You know, that's what I think. You know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I've actually done that. Literally, I remember one time I had a socket set, a Cobalt socket set with the box, the real nice box with the organizers and stuff, and I really liked it. And I found one in the dumpster as I was throwing something down in the big dumpster, and I'm like, that thing looks pretty nice. So I just grabbed it out and looked at it, and somebody had just dumped all the tools out of it and threw the box away brand new. And I'm like, well, I'm taking this home. And I sold it for $50. Like, you know, and there was really literally, besides wiping it off where it had been in a dumpster, that was it. That was the only issue. And then it was a brand new case. So I ain't going to pull, you know, some certain things out of there, but something like that. I mean, you know, people will just throw away good stuff.
A friend I've made in reselling does videos, Nomadic Flipper. I watched one of his videos and he had went by the garbage can and saw this big mirror laying there. And it was like one of those big extended mirrors, like the Dodge 2500 or like the F250 type mirror, you know, like look like a big bat wing or something, you know, sticking out. But somebody had probably run it into something and ripped it loose. But everything except for where it connected, like would connect to the truck, was good. And it's in multiple pieces. Well, he looked it up. Wound up, he sold it, I think, for like 200 something bucks.
Good grief.
And the mirror was not busted. All the wiring was there. It just needed that first mounting piece replaced, and the rest of it was fine. I mean, just like you said, the things people throw away, they don't see value in. And a lot of stuff from the thrift stores, the same thing happens. So, you know, they can talk about us if they want to. I don't care.
No, that's exactly right. I believe in giving things another chance, you know.
Yeah.
Well, let's transition into something pretty important that got announced on the live and that we want to do some talking about right now. And I'm going to pop it up right here. It is Highway 127, Pickin the Plateau. We're excited about this because the tickets are now on sale. And as you can see, the Resellers Locker Room guys are on here with us. They are going to be our special co-hosts this year. We're all excited. All of us are super, super excited. We sold quite a few tickets day one. Like within the first 24 hours, we moved quite a few tickets. So I say that to say this. If you want to come to this year, we are limited on space. Do not wait to buy your ticket because there's no guarantees. And I'm not trying to sell a ticket. I want you to come. Josh wants you to come if you want to come. And if you're going to be at the 127 sale and you're going to be close to the Crossville area, I mean, you couldn't buy your supper for what we're asking for a ticket, $25. That's to help cover food and help cover the event cost. And we're not really looking to make a fortune, or even if we don't make anything, we're just looking to have a good time. But yeah, August 2nd, 2024, 4 to 9 Central. That's the Highway 127 Pickin the Plateau event. And I'm pumped, man. I don't know about you,
Oh
but
yeah.
I am super pumped about this event.
Yeah. And we would use other words besides excited and pumped if our vocabulary was bigger, but that's just where we resort to because,
I don't know what else to say.
I'm still trying to learn English. So man, we do the best. I was thinking while you was talking, I just keep saying, well, I'm excited. But we're really looking forward to this. It's going to be great. Especially after me going to Omaha with Planes to Profit, man, it makes me even more anxious to get to our event and see some even like the reseller locker room guys. I know you've met Ben, but I've not met any of them before. And so, you make all these friends that you see just like us. We haven't got to meet in person before. And so that's amazing. I mean, it's amazing because these are real friendships that we've built, even though we've built them, through these podcasts and these live events and stuff like that. And it makes it so much more real and meaningful when you get to sit down face to face and have conversations with these people. So many good people.
Absolutely. And we did announce on the live, and by the way, we'll be live again with the Reseller Locker Room Boys tomorrow night. We'll be talking up the meetup again. We'll just be hanging out with them live. If you're not already aware of that, come check that out. But we announced some interesting information. We're doing supporter packages. We're doing sponsorships, which, by the way, are potentially filling up pretty quick. There's 2 gone for sure out of 8. Right. And Josh may have sold 2 more of those for us. So possibly. So, that could be that there's only 4 sponsorship packages available. So if you're interested in any of that, the supporter packages are $100, includes a ticket and other things. I could try to pop that up here in just a second. But that includes a few other things. And then the sponsorship package includes several things also. But, we're not, again, as we talked about before, we're not trying to sell a sponsorship package for the sake of selling a supporter package or whatever. And here's the supporter package. This is because the reason we did this is because people reached out and said, hey, right, I want to do something. And maybe you can't like show up and help do the work that week or whatever, or, show up early Friday, Saturday, whatever, and help do the work. And if you still want to take part and you say, well, if I can't be there, I can send my money. Okay, here's $100 package. We're going to shout you out. We're going to put your name in the credits of the show, and it covers 1 ticket. So we tried to make it, beneficial and something that would be interesting for people to want to do. And if we don't sell the first one, I'm okay with that. I'm not, like we talked about, not trying to make money off of it or anything like that. And here's the sponsor package. You guys can see that, $250. Same as the first level. You get your name in the credits. You get a verbal shout out. You get 2 tickets. You get a table set up at the event for your merchandise or anything you want to give out or sell. You can bring your personal banner and display it with your table. And you get a special guest appearance episode on the 2 Old Guys podcast. But that one is limited. That one is limited to 8. So if you guys are interested in that, you better reach out very, very soon because those will be gone really quick. But, we done quite a bit of talking about the sponsors and the supporters. Like, do we really want to do this? We don't want people to think we're begging for money. And that's not it at all. Just, like we said, we had people reaching out. Hey, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? Here's you an option. If you want to take it, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
Right.
But if you do, message me or Josh on Instagram, and that's the best way. Or you can send us an email. That's down the link also, or linked in the description also. And let us know, hey, I want to do this one, and we'll give you the payment information and all that stuff, and take down your information and stuff. But I like to give people the option. And we've had a couple people reach out and say, hey, I want to help. And so, just trying to make it a possibility for people to do that.
Yeah. And honestly, we're trying to make it worthwhile too. If someone does do that, we've had some that said, I don't want anything, but we want to do as much as we can. If they're trying to help us, we also want to shine a spotlight on them and try to give back. And again, it's not about trying to sell something so much as just we had those people reaching out before we ever even put a package together. And so yeah, anybody that's interested in that, definitely you need to probably move pretty quick, especially on the supporters if you're interested in like being on the show and that kind of stuff that it offers, because they're actually a lot of interest, it seems like, early on. So
yeah, and we're not playing favorites. It's going to be first come, first served. It's going to be, we're not holding a spot for anybody in particular. Whoever gets there first. If somebody reaches out to me that says I want to do it, and then somebody else reaches out, well, I want to do, it's going to be whoever gets there first is who's going to get the first crack at it. And that just seems fair. I'm not trying to pick and choose. We're not trying to reach up or reach down. We're just trying to keep it even playing field. Give people an opportunity if they want to do that. But again, if you want to come, though, we'll say this. In the next couple of weeks, we'll put hotel information for the hotels that are close to the venue in this town, where you will know that information. We'll pin them down in the description below. But I will say this, as I already said, the tickets are going to move fast. They've already started moving fast, so very limited. But don't wait on the hotel or the Airbnb or the Verbo or whatever it is you're doing, because at 127, even without a meetup, without an event, those things are always full. And they're usually full months ahead. Yeah. So if I knew I was going to the 127, I would probably go in and book my place like tomorrow or this week, because it's going to be gone. And we're in a small enough town. We got quite a few Airbnbs, but it's not like we got 1,000 of them or anything like that, so between that and hotels, if you don't act fast, you ain't going to have a place to stay. And we want everybody that wants to come to have a place to stay and have the accommodations they want to have. And we want to see you guys. That's me and Josh have been talking about this. And just like last year, the event was not about, hey, this will blow us up on YouTube or this will make us famous. Or I just wanted to meet people. And like you said with Omaha, that was a great opportunity to meet people and get to know people. And these are the people that know you and know what you stand for and know what you're talking about. And I mean, there was not anybody I talked to last year that said, I don't really get what you're saying. Everybody knew exactly what we was talking about. And it was great to be in amongst people that believed in what we're doing.
Yeah, so absolutely.
That's what I'm looking forward to, is that kind of environment and that kind of opportunity, and boy, I wish I'd have booked a wrestling ring.
It would have been good, I'm telling you. But
plans,
ideas for next year,
absolutely.
So definitely going to keep that in mind. But we got to work that in somehow.
I think we need a little bit bigger venue, but yes, even if we have to do it in the field behind the house or something, that would be so sweet.
And I know it's probably not the time or place, but what we had talked about too, it'd be so awesome. And maybe next year we can get, if we may have to start working on some of that now for next year if we try to do it. But like maybe that the night before, if we could have like a charity match or two, if we could get some of the locals that people within the region that are wrestlers that might be willing to come out, that would be pretty awesome. And of course Rod, we might be able to trick him into doing a little exhibition for us maybe.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I mean, I would totally nerd out that whole time. Like, I would just have to get in there and clothesline somebody. Like, I mean, I just, have to. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was probably 13, 14, something like that, my dad was pretty bad about not throwing stuff away. He kept most everything, unless it was just junk. So down the road where we lived, we owned like 7 acres, and the road went plumb down past it to my grandpa's house. And Dad would lay stuff in the ditchway that he wanted to keep, but kind of away from the house. So me and my buddies decided, hey, we could build us a wrestling ring out of that old swing set, the metal, Dad had actually concreted that stuff into the ground when we had a school set. Well, he kept all the posts and they was concrete on the bottom. So we just dug holes, set them up. And I went to the store and bought nylon rope and made the ring ropes, took duct tape, made the turnbuckles. We had a makeshift wrestling ring in my backyard. And one of the best things I ever seen happen, my two of my best friends growing up, the one was, he was like 5'10", but he was like 240 pounds of nothing but solid, just solid as a rock. The other one was like 6 foot tall, 225, still a big boy, but not as solid. The smaller one, but bigger, said, "Hey, let me power bomb you." The other one's like, "No," he said, "No, I'm not doing that." He said, "Well, what?" He said, "I'll let you down easy." He said, "I'll get you up there. I'll throw my hands on your back. I just want to see if I can get you up, and I'll let you down easy." And I was watching, and I'm like, "This ain't going to end well."
No.
So he got him up. He got him up all the way like this, and he's holding him, staggering. And he throws his hand like this, and then he throws his other hand like this, and he starts to let him down. And he got about halfway and dropped him. Whop! I mean, he splat the ground like hard, and all you hear is like all the breath was gone. They're like,
oh my goodness,
was great.
Hey,
it was so great.
Two things that do not go together in that story: if I can get you up and let you down easy. Those two things just don't match. At that point, I'm out, man.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. We've done so much crazy stuff. I had a trampoline growing up. We'd do all kinds of wrestling, and I don't know how many times we'd get burnt on the nylon from DDTs and stuff like that. We was crazy, all kinds of stuff. And I used to take, I'm probably going to get made fun of for this, but I'll tell it. I'd take old cardboard and I would cut it out in the shape of the belt. And my mom was a super big crafter. Like, she sewed and done all kinds of crafts. So I would take her glitter stuff and I would make the belt. I made some pretty sweet belts. Like, I would duct tape them and then glitter them.
The glitter, man.
We'd wrestle for them belts, and we had our own little fed going and everything. Man. It was sweet.
They're going to call you Gold Dust now.
Yeah, Gold Dust. I don't know about that one. He wasn't quite my favorite back in the day.
Oh, no. I'm just talking about the glitter, but.
Yeah, Gold Dust for sure. But yeah, we done it all. We had, oh, man. And if we wasn't wrestling outside, we was wrestling on PlayStations or Nintendos or whatever all the time, wrestling. Everything was wrestling. And I remember when I was that age, that was the years of the Monday Night Wars, and Monday night was off limits. If my friends said, "Hey, let's go to town," like, "What night is it?" "Monday." "I'm sorry, pick another night." Mondays is a no-go. But yeah, that was just fun times.
Yeah. We didn't wrestle a whole lot. We bought some. We went through a phase where a lot of us got the little sparring gloves and we had a good time with that. But as is the case with most things like that, it usually ends badly for somebody.
Oh yeah.
Somebody swings low or gets hit a little harder than they expected.
Yeah. One of my friends that was a little older than me, like 3 years older than me, when I was like 15, he's 18. He wanted to go do, I don't know if you remember when reality TV was just starting to become pretty famous, catch on. They had something called the Tough Man competition. You remember that?
I believe so. Yeah.
It was like a UFC kind of fight competition between ordinary people. You just come in and let's see who's the best,
Yeah, I remember that.
He wanted to do that. And I'm like, I'm not so sure about all this, but I don't think he ever did, but he was all about it. But
you remember Butterbean?
Oh,
the one that, that's how he got his start. Eric Butterbean Ish. He was from Walker County. Jasper's one that was his hometown, and that's one of the towns I go to Thrift pretty regular. It's like 35 minutes from the house. So he's got his own restaurant there now. It's called Butterbeans Barbecue or something like that. Yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
I remember Butterbean. He actually was in a wrestling ring one time. You remember that?
Yeah.
When they had the brawl for all. the
Well, you know, and
real
he tried to be
fake,
a
you know,
yeah.
they said
You
it
know, he
was
tried
going to
to be
be
a
the real
legit boxer too.
Yeah, well, he knocked a few people out, didn't he?
He had a lot behind the punches. So
Yeah, I mean, he was a big old
he
little
was.
guy, you know.
Yeah,
He was a thick dude.
absolutely.
Oh
Man,
man, I hadn't thought about Butterbean in a while. That's crazy.
those American shorts, buddy.
Yeah.
USA. Those like
Oh,
Rocky almost, you know.
well, close. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part did anyway.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm
Oh,
not
man.
sure how we got there, but we got there. But yeah, if you guys are coming
Right.
in August, we want to see you. And we're going to have some announcements about food coming up. I talk about this in my video too, but me and Tanya and Josh and have been talking about food, and we've come up with some ideas. So we're kicking some things back and forth, and the menu is going to be interesting. I'll just say it like that. Not disappointingly interesting either. Excitingly interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away just yet because Tanya would murder me because there is no finalized anything yet. So, but I can promise you this much: it's going to be good. Oh,
Right.
so
And
good.
banana pudding. We can't promise that one.
I can say
She has.
banana pudding's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. We're committed to that
Yep.
one.
Yep. So Leroy, Tim, if you're watching, banana
Yeah.
pudding's coming back to Crossville this year. I expect 2 ticket sales like right now.
Yeah, for real, right?
But
Oh
yeah, I
man.
mean, I'm excited about that part because listen, people probably say, oh, you know, she can't do all that. Well, Tanya is the kind of person, when we first took over the church, it's been right at 10 years ago. The church was very small. When I first took it over, there was like 25 people there that Sunday, the first week. So she was always scared, like, anytime we'd have a dinner, will we have enough? I better make extra. And she'd make like 8 or 10 things. And when I
Yeah.
say things, I don't mean she opened a can of corn or you
Mhm.
know, she would make like a dish, a big, take an hour to fix it. And she's cooking all night before, cooking all morning of church, you know, like she's making a ton of stuff. And she always made sure there was enough. Now, we've grown since that time and she don't have to do that anymore, but she still has it in her. Like
Mhm.
she can really make it special. And for those of you that don't know, Josh is an awesome cook too. So even if he don't cook much, he's going to cook one thing where I can at least sample to see
I may
how good
just
he cook.
Yeah, I may just have to come cook dinner one night. Give her a night off while we're up there.
You know, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm
I'm not
all
kidding.
about that eating, brother.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
down.
not, yeah, I'm not making jokes. I'm serious.
That sounds good to me.
But
I wasn't joking either.
you know, I love it. I think we probably grew up very similar on that. You know, we didn't eat out. We're very rural, you know, just like I do
Yep.
today. And I mean, if you were going to eat out there, you'd have to drive a long ways to get there. I
Yep.
mean, we have a couple of cafes where you can go get a burger in town, but I mean, in the little town I'm in, but there's no, you know, quote unquote restaurants. You're not going to go get, you know, Italian or Mexican or, you know, like the
Mhm.
different foods that you sometimes go to town to eat. And so if you want those things, you have to cook them at home. And I'm not just talking about like spaghetti, and I'm not knocking this. Please don't get mad at me for saying this. I do use a canned sauce and stuff like that from time to time. But
Mhm.
like my mom, she would can like, you know, garlic, basil, onion, tomatoes, and stuff like that, like stuff specifically for spaghetti sauce. And so she would dump, you know, a couple of quarts of that in, and she would like leave it simmering like for hours until it got really thick, like a marinara. And it was
Mhm.
from homegrown tomatoes and you know
Oh yeah.
fresh stuff. And so you know, I mean, that's kind of how I grew up. Whether it was Italian or you know, if it whatever food. I mean, she cooked everything. I mean, she cooked if it was she cooked, you know, Asian dishes and Mexican dishes and I mean it wouldn't I say spaghetti, but I mean she did all kind of just lasagnas and like what's the like the manicottis and the big
Mhm.
stuffed shells. I mean, she did all kinds of Italian dishes. All it was a big variety. We was like eating at a
Yeah.
restaurant. And
Wow.
so you kind of grow up and you take that with you, you know. I mean, we eat different every night. I mean, tonight, I mean, it was real simple tonight, but tonight, like I did steamed broccoli and I did New York strips and um, what else was I just baked some sweet potatoes because I only had about 45 minutes to get something done before the podcast, so I had to keep it pretty simple. But you know, we eat something different. Probably if there's 10 days in a row, unless it's leftovers, it's something different 8 days. You know.
Wow.
So not
See,
much
I'm
of a repeat,
impressed. I can cook. I can cook scrambled eggs like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I've been trying my hand at fried eggs here lately. Like I'm so picky. I want it done, but I want it runny, right? Like I
Oh
want
yeah.
the white done, but I want the yellow runny. And I don't want no white coming out with it. So like it's got to be
Yeah.
perfect. And I've been
Right.
trying to get my hand just right, like I'm going to flip this just perfect and it's going to be good. And the last time I did it, I made me like 3 eggs and a couple pieces of toast and I done good. But yeah, that's about the extent of my cooking. I can make I can do eggs and I can fry up some Spam or some, anything pre-cooked. I can do that.
Yeah.
But if you come to my house looking to eat well, you better hope
Oh
Tanya's
man.
home. Tanya or Logan, either one of
Yeah.
them, or Bailey. She's a good cook too. But yeah, I'm not the cook of the family. I can eat though. I can do
Sounds
that.
like you just haven't had to fend for yourself too much there, though. That's
I
not a
haven't.
bad thing,
I
you know.
haven't.
And
Well,
that's
you
kind of what
talk
happened
about
to me. Yeah.
yeah, you talk about not having, uh, like going out to eat a lot. We never went out to eat that much either. Like growing up, I don't remember going into a restaurant hardly ever. Now, mom would take advantage of, she worked in town. She'd drive home. We lived about 20 minutes away from town. And she would take advantage of back in the day when McDonald's had like the 29 and 39-cent hamburgers and
Oh yeah.
cheeseburgers. She'd bring home like, 8 or 10 of them. Or
Right.
back in the day when you could get Sonic burgers for $1 or whatever.
Mhm.
But if it wasn't something like that, generally we wasn't really doing a whole lot of fast food or anything really.
Mhm.
And back in those days, there wasn't just a ton of options in our town anyway.
Right.
Nowadays, there's quite a bit more, but back then there wasn't a ton.
Mhm.
But yeah, she cooked all the time, and same way, we grew up on beans and taters and cornbread,
Oh
and
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't nothing to come through the kitchen. You don't run through the kitchen at harvest time because her and my granny's in there,
Mhm.
cutting corn, creaming it,
Yep.
and you got a linoleum floor when you're creaming corn. That's like an ice skating rink. So you don't
Yeah.
come through there fast.
Yep.
Because I
That's
remember
right.
coming through there sliding plumb into the back door, and they just
Oh my
laugh at
goodness.
you.
Oh my goodness.
But
Yeah,
those
and
are good
I'm
times.
yeah, and I said all that other stuff, but I mean, our staple, I would get made fun of, man. When I went to college, it's like with those get to know you type things, and it seemed like every new teacher, every new class, they would have you fill out this card or stand up and they'd want to be like, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what's your favorite food. And I was like, everybody's like hamburger, pizza, hamburger, pizza. And I'm like, butter beans, cornbread, coleslaw, and fried potatoes. And they're like, and they're from I'm from Alabama, Mississippi, but these are kids, so they're all looking at me like, man, who are you? Like butter beans, I can't help it. I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about them big white lima beans.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we had the garden stuff. We had corn and peas and okra and squash, and mom always canned and put stuff up, and that's what we had most nights. I mean, there was always cornbread for dinner if it was, unless it was like one of those special nights like Italian or something like that. So
Yeah.
probably 4 to 5 nights a week there was cornbread. There was always fried potatoes. I mean, probably if we could have potatoes 4 times, 3 times they were fried and once they were mashed. But fried potatoes, coleslaw, those 3 things were with every meal. I mean, I don't hardly remember having one of those just country home cooked meals that those 3 things were not a staple on the table. And then, it might be fried chicken, it might be meatloaf, it might be a pork chop, you just never know. And sometimes no meat at all. And then
Yeah.
we'd have a bean. It might be purple whole peas, it might be pinto beans, butter beans, just good stuff, man. I love that kind of eating. And
I, uh,
just
I I
good
still get
memories.
I still get made fun of by my mother-in-law. I had cornbread so much growing up that I don't like it anymore. Like my taste changed.
Really?
I mean, it's not that I don't like it, but it doesn't it doesn't it's not my favorite thing anymore.
Oh,
So anytime I see it, I'm like, maybe I'll get a piece.
yeah.
But because we had it just like you just said, like it
Mhm.
was almost every day. Like
Mhm.
it was I mean, literally the same stuff, beans and taters and corn and I mean cornbread. And if you went to Granny and Grandpa's house, they didn't believe in fast food, like you didn't.
Yeah.
It was like a major occasion. If you went to town with them and they stopped and ate something, it was that was a major thing for them. And they wasn't the type that was going to stop at McDonald's and get a burger. They're going to go to KFC, get some chicken. Back in the day when it's like, tastes like home cooked food, they're going there and they're going to go in, they're going to sit down. I mean, it's not, I don't think I ever remember going to eat with my grandpa and my grandma ever, because they were just that way. And Grandpa grew a garden that was probably 2 acres. And by the time I was old enough to remember, he was retired by probably about 10 years old when I was 10. So he grew this garden, and I mean, literally probably 1.5 acre, 2 acre garden. They would be like 8 rows of corn. That's like 100-foot wide rows. And I mean, they'd be stuff everywhere. And listen, him, a 70-year-old man, he's out there working it every day, and nothing got wasted. And my granny's in there canning. They had a can room that was probably 12 by 20 or something. And, and they had 3 big old tater bins. They had cans everywhere. I mean, that's the way you did it back then. Yeah. And my mother-in-law is the same way now. She won't let food go to waste. She has canned, like she has a friend that he raises taters to sell, and he is super, super particular about what he sells. He won't sell anything that's not a certain size or that's not a certain quality. So he'll just box up the ones that ain't quite up to, standard. He'll bring them to her. And she canned so many taters, or not canned, but put up, well, I guess you can taters, but put up all that stuff. And then her brother-in-law, I think it was 2 years ago, we went and we pulled, we picked corn. He had set out like 15 or 20 rows of corn, and he used a seeder, one of them deals that you drive it down through there or whatever. Well, he double seeded every single spot. So there was 2 ears on every spot. We put up like 200. Now listen, I'm not exaggerating. We put up like 200 dozen ears of corn, 200 dozen, not 200 ears. People say, you mean 200 ears? No, I mean 200 dozen.
Like 12 in a bag.
Yes. Well, she cut some, she froze some, but I mean, we had corn everywhere. Like my mother-in-law had it. We had it here. We had some in the 2 refrigerators at church. We had this stuff everywhere. Like we ate, I think we went for like 4 years on corn. We didn't I think we finally ended up letting like a dozen ears go bad or something. So that's not bad,
No, and it's nice when it's like that, because we didn't have a garden last year, but normally I have a pretty large garden here. And, like if you have it, there's years, if you're a gardener, even just the weather, there's just things, some years, some things just do not produce well and other things will. Now, look, I know if you can plant, acres and acres of just a single crop, you'll still have plenty. But if you're planting just an acre or two and you're planting a big variety of stuff, I mean, there's years where you'll have more peas than you can get shelled. And by the time you put them up, you don't even really need to plant peas for a couple of years. If you do, it's just to have a fresh batch, to cook on the spot. But like you said, with the corn, I mean, corn is finicky for us here. I mean, the moisture, just how much rain you get, and I guess this for everybody, but it's just, you just never know. I mean, and I've had years where I planted, quite a bit. I mean, several rows, 6 or 8 long rows of corn, and it barely just break the surface, and the crows would come in when you wasn't there and pull nearly every bit of it up, get the kernel off the end, and you're done. I mean, you got maybe 15 or 20 stalks left out there. You got to just plow it and replant it. And then time starts to be an issue, because if you don't get it out at the right time, you miss the moisture, you miss most of the rainy part of the summer. And I mean, so a good corn harvest is always a good thing because it kind of gets you set for a few years. That's the hardest one to me to get right.
Yeah, I've never been able to grow anything. My dad and my mom, my granny and my grandpa, my uncles, my aunts grow anything. I did not inherit that. And I've put out gardens here before. We've had nice looking gardens and we've grown some stuff. But one year I planted taters and I don't know what happened. It flooded like the day after I planted, and water sat on the garden for like a week. I don't know if they rotted, like they just died. I mean, I know they got to rot, but Nothing came up, not the first sprout. So
It can happen, actually.
I thought I just had bad seed taters. I give them to a man at church. He comes back like, 8 or 10 weeks later and like, man, them some of the best taters. I'm like, how in the world, but they work for him, didn't work for me. But yeah, I'm getting hungry now talking all this good. Listen, if that's any indication of what you can expect, right? I mean, it's going to be good. I promise. I ain't going to lie. It's going to be good.
Yeah. I'm sitting here smelling steak that I haven't eaten a bite of yet. Well, I ate a bite. I'm not going to lie, but I haven't eaten my portion of it, but that's okay. It'll still be good, and I'm good either way. So
what he's saying is, let's get this thing on the road and get done.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Seriously. But,
well, let's talk about eBay, man. eBay for the last couple of weeks has probably been, I don't know. Here comes the paranoid in me. But ever since that winter seller update came out, I have really nosedived. I've sold 2 things today for like $40. I just so happened to sell 3 good things yesterday to one buyer, 3 frying pans to one buyer that made the day decent. But other than that, I had 1 sale besides that yesterday. My average is like in the toilet, like majorly tanky. And I know it's partly is the right time of year. People are slowing down, but it's about to turn around because it's tax time. And, 1st of March, we kind of expect it to pick up a little bit. So I don't know. It's interesting to me what seems like that eBay roller coaster type, thing that's going on again. I don't know. Are you experiencing anything like that?
I mean, I don't know. It's weird for me a lot of times. I honestly think most of mine has more to do with me than it does anything else. I mean, I know you've got you've got your system where you're doing the same thing, consistently all the time. With all this that we were getting ready to do with the reseller meetup in Omaha, it kind of got me off track with YouTube and with the reselling stuff. So I don't know. I mean, I thought it was weird. I put my store on time away mode for basically, not much more than 24 hours. I set it to start since we were leaving on Wednesday. I set it to start like at maybe 4 o'clock. I can't remember. When I knew I'd have time, if there was a sale, I could get it packed if I had to carry it with me and drop it in a mailbox while I was gone. I set it where it would stop soon enough that they would know. And then I set it to open back up because I don't do next day shipping like some people do. So I set it to open back up on Friday morning, like 12 a.m. 12 a.m. when it clicked over. So anything sold on Friday, I knew I'd be here Tuesday and I could get it shipped off. And technically that'd be the second day. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I set mine up to do. And I had a okay weekend the weekend before, but now the days leading up to that, I only carried 2 packages with me. I mean, that was like from, what would that be, from Tuesday and Wednesday? I had 2 packages. I had 3. But I literally, it's literally in front of me right now, still in the bag. I got it dropped in the bag in the poly mailer and sealed up. And right as I sealed it up, I got a message, please, I did not mean to buy this. Will you cancel? And so, I mean, that was going to be my 3rd item. But then the funny thing was, so we left on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, when it was on time away, I sold 6 things. That's 6 sales on Thursday on the time away day.
So weird.
I went 2 days. I went 2 days, had 2 sales, and then I had 6 sales on time away. I can't figure it out. But
so the moral of the story is put your store on time away right now. Yeah, everybody put your store on time away.
Every other day.
No, really don't do that. But that does make you wonder though. Like sometimes it makes you wonder, is it just the activity? Like, is it just the activity that the algorithm's looking at, or I don't know, but I know it's odd because I was running, and I know 4th quarter, I know is going to be higher, but I'm even lower now than my average before the 4th quarter where I was running. I've dropped below that. And I did for about a week drop down to 10 a day to try to build my draft bank. So I can put a little bit off on that, but I was still listing every day. I was still doing the same routine. I just dropped my amounts down a little. And if you look at my impressions and stuff on my dashboard, it really didn't drop down that much. And my advertising dashboard has been higher, consistently higher over the last couple months than even in the fourth quarter. Like the consistency has been paying off. They've been bumping me a little bit more each day, each month, whatever. So it's kind of weird. Like, you're getting more exposure, but less sales. I don't know if I'm just pricing too high. That could be part of it too. Maybe I need to put a sale, or, there's too many variables to blame one thing, I think.
For me, and I know we've talked about this before, I don't do some of the things that other resellers do. It doesn't mean that I won't at some point in the future, but I won't say I've never done a promotion. I've got some things that are on promotion now, but I don't just like promote everything at a general rate or promote all items in the store all the time. And I don't know what the percentage would be. I've not looked at that, but I bet over 90% of my items are not promoted. So, I'm one of those people that I could probably pick the bottom 50% of my store that's been there the longest and throw a promotion and a sale on and probably move a lot of that really quick with those two combinations. I say a lot. I probably could boost my sales doing that. But what I've tried to do is what I always try to do, and I say this a lot on my channel, is buy as cheaply as possible, as we've talked about. Keep cost of goods as low as possible, and then price competitively. Out of the gate, price competitively. I think that's important. I don't do free shipping. I think most of yours is free shipping. You factor that in.
Store is, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's what you had said. And, I do buyer pay shipping on all my stuff. But when you do that, you've got to have a good feel for what the shipping cost is going to be. It amounts to the same thing. I've got to make sure, like, if I'm competing with you, that whatever I set my price at, that within a certain regional range, at least, right? Because we're kind of in the same region, that buyers in our region are going to be paying the same thing as they do to you for free shipping, or maybe undercut by a nickel, because even a nickel makes a difference. Paige 1 Foot Flipper, he says that sometimes, like, when you find what the lowest price is and you don't have much in your particular item, and he says sometimes just undercutting that price by a couple of cents. Some people want to do it by $1 or by $5. But he said, if it's someone that's going to take the time to sort to cheapest, you only have to be a couple cents cheaper to be the first one on the list.
Yeah.
You don't, and that's what a lot of,
Right.
Some people don't care, but the people that shop like I do, if it's a good seller and it's the cheapest one, even by a nickel, that's the one I'm buying. So I think pricing competitively matters. And that's what I really focus on. And I need to do price adjustments on a lot of my stuff, because I know some of my items have not sold because maybe it was competitive when I put it out, but it didn't sell quickly. And now the market's undercut it because everything has kind of depressed a little bit in price. And I think maybe part of my store, that may be what you're experiencing some. It may not be your new items that you're posting. It may be some of the older inventory, because overall sales have slowed. So a lot of sellers have cut their prices and have run sales. And if that puts us middle of the pack on price, we're probably not going to sell those items.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I've always said there's a lot of variables, like, it's hard to pinpoint and blame. I do think that eBay does, when they do an update, something happens. Like the other day, I was trying to do something on eBay and my app was all messed up. It wouldn't alert me. It wouldn't notify me when I was having sales or messages. It wasn't making noises.
Right.
It wasn't my phone. It wasn't anything. I turned it off. I reset notifications, all that stuff. It wasn't mine. It wasn't sending them to Tanya either. So I was like, this is weird. Like, and it was right after those updates and stuff. So I think that plays a part, because I've actually been there where you put something in your cart, you go to try to pay, and it won't let you actually make the payment.
Right.
And it's like, so if it's doing that to me, I'm sure it does it to other people too. And how many times are they going to try before they just say, the heck with it, I'm going to Amazon, or I'm going to Walmart.com, or I'm going to something else or whatever, and try it there. But I think it's something that the community faces, like we run into it all the time. But it's odd.
I think that's why sales work so good for so many sellers so often. Promotions definitely get more eyeballs on your items. I get that. And for people that aren't as concerned about price, that will help you make sales. But if it is a price issue, and it's like, say, if your store overall, if you've got a say 35-40% of your store has fallen into that place where we haven't had time to go back individually and go through them, but they fall into that place where we're no longer in that bottom, as far as price, we're not pricing that bottom tier where we're, and by bottom, I mean the lower price section. where we're more likely to make those sales. Sometimes that 10% off, generally across the board, pushes a lot of your items probably to the top of the list in terms of lowest price. And therefore, the next sale that comes on that particular item, you get it because the ones that are sorting, that's how that happens. And I really think that's all that really, that's why the sale works. I don't think you're probably, like I was thinking to myself, if I run a sale, say 10% off, if it still doesn't push my item to the, the lowest price, if there's still 15 other ones cheaper than mine, it's probably not going to make mine sell any better than it was already selling. I'm just going to lose money if I make that sale, basically.
Yeah,
but
there's not a lot of people out there like us, that's going to be reading the feedback. Is this guy a really good seller? This one's not, and stuff like that. So I mean, most people don't care about that anymore, but I still check feedback. Like I'm especially when you get into these sellers that sell like, huge volumes of stuff, and you see 98.5%, and you're like, oh, that's pretty good, until you click on it and they've got like 150 negative, and you're like, good Lord, how much do you actually sell to have to get 150 negative, and that's 1.5%? Like, that is wild. So I check all that stuff out, because I've actually had people, buy from them, and it'll be like 2 weeks later and you still don't have nothing. And it's like, hey, when's this coming? And you won't even get a response. Like, you won't, nothing from them, because they're too big. Like, they don't do any of that. But yeah, it's eBay's one of them funny things. Funny things.
It is. It's fickle.
It is very fickle. So, shifting gears, have you heard about the new podcasts on the horizon?
I've heard of a couple, yes, but one in particular. But the one that I was familiar with was the one that the Quirky Picker Chad was going to be on. That's the one that I'd heard about initially. I had not heard about the one that you mentioned to me. I missed it, maybe through the reseller meetup, because I have not been on YouTube hardly at all for almost a week now. But yeah. Well,
I would have missed it too. Cool. But I just happened to click over to Instagram, and J-Rod was right there, and it said, check out the new podcast, Reseller Island, with Sunny Las Vegas and J-Rod Flips. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So go give that a check, see what you think of that. Those are pretty good guys right there. And the other one is Full-Time Flippers, the Full-Time Flippers podcast,
right,
with Quirky Picker Chad and Dennis, the Free King Flipper. I don't know if that's a play on words or if he meant that, Dennis the Freaking Flipper or Dennis the Free King Flipper. It's the Freaking Flipper. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, go check.
I did the same thing you're doing when I first read it.
It runs together for me, the Freaking Flipper or something. I don't know. But yeah, go check them guys out. I'm sure they would appreciate any subscribers or any support that they could get.
Right.
And welcome to the podcast world, guys, if you're possibly watching this.
Absolutely.
It's a grind. Enjoy the ride. It takes a while, but if you like what you're doing, it's worth it. So, but I thought that was good. And, I'm all for people coming in, starting up their own podcasts and all that. But yeah, that's cool.
It seems to me that that's kind of the popular thing going right now for resellers on YouTube, but not so much to try to attract an audience, because you get a pretty diverse audience on your regular reselling channels, but with the podcast, it builds the reselling community up. It's really about connecting with the other resellers, and I think that's why so many of us have been drawn to them, whether it's live or it's recorded. Either one, it's like we talked about with the meetups. It's hearing your people just talk about real life and real things that they're dealing with, instead of just the talking head where we're going over what we sold and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and it shows people a different side of you, like with your video, you're talking about what you sold. You're trying to put a little bit of your personality into that, and you're trying to be yourself. And this is just more of a, like people said in the past of this podcast, it's just two friends hanging out, talking about what they do and having a good time. And that's what this is, and it allows for a lot of freedom to talk about things that we ain't necessarily going to talk about I'm not going to talk about the wrestling ring in my backyard on the Old Pass channel. That's just, that's probably not going to come up, but,
right.
But over here, you may get to hear about that. And speaking about
Yeah.
backyards, you sent me a video of that shed, man. I am like just defeated with jealousy.
Yeah.
That
Well,
thing is unbelievable. How that's going to turn
yeah.
out is going to be unreal.
Yeah. It's a big, it's a big change. And it's exciting to think about. It's a lot of work to be done, and I've got so many other projects going on. I wish I could say I'd have something set up and running out there, within a month. But it's definitely going to help me in the immediate time frame with like storage, as far as things that are listed that elements. Of course, it's covered, but I'm saying as far as heat and cold, where that won't be an issue, or just the humidity, because there's a lot of things I can store like that and get them out of the house. And then, like some of the overstock, and I know, some people don't like the idea of the death pile idea or whatever, that concept, but nevertheless, there are some resellers that don't really have that, but you have a hard time finding those. So, those tubs that I have like that, I know you have a separate shed for yours. Mine's in the house. So, that'll give me a way to, it's just going to alleviate a lot of the strain that reselling has put on our home when I've been without a place to put stuff. So I'm excited about that part. I'm also excited about being able to get all of my listed inventory, and I may move it out there, even some stuff that I move back, at least initially for a little bit, because I want to be able to go through and take an inventory, pull some of the stuff. It's been hard because I have listed inventory in multiple locations in the house right now, depending on what kind of good it is. And it's just too much to think about trying to do that inside here. Because you got to have space to pull stuff up, pull stuff out, and sort and go through. And I want to work a little bit more on my clothing listings are really well organized, but my other stuff is starting to grow to the point now that I really need to adapt that same type of filing and the SKU number system to that stuff, which I haven't in the past, because I've been able to manage it on a couple of shelves. But it's way past that now. So I've really got to get a handle on that. It's starting to get, most of the time I'm good. Most of the time I remember where stuff is at, but it only takes that one item that you spend 30 or 40 minutes looking for, and you just want to kick yourself, because I'm tired of having to do that.
When we started in here, I didn't have SKUs either. And I had like 9 racks that I just put it up, and I'm like, well, I know where it's at. And Tanya's like, you're never going to remember.
Yeah.
I went for months knowing where everything was at in my head. Mm-hmm. And finally, one day I'm looking at it and I'm like, I've got 1,000 listings. It's not going to take me just a minute to lose something. So I did. I started, and mine's really simple. Like, that's rack 1. It's on that rack, I don't have rack 1, row 1, spot 1 or nothing. It's just rack 1. And then, the totes, ABC, whatever.
Yeah.
And simple, but man, you've got like room to have a warehouse. Like, that thing is huge. That's big as my house.
That was kind of the thought partly behind doing that. So the building is 28 by 50, and it's got three 10 by 10 roll-up doors and then a walk-in door. And so the thought was, in time, at least, like, I want to be able to do like storage lockers and things like that, like during the down season, maybe, because I'm hoping to have a big garage sale season this year. It's going to be the first year that I haven't had a job that I had to also try to keep up with. And we went on Saturdays some, and sometimes that works out great. There's some community sales that are only on Saturdays around here, but it's just harder. If you can't get out, like some of those sales that start on Thursday, some of the really big ones where they're cleaning out a house or something, if you're not there the first day, you just miss out on so many good things.
Yeah, you do.
And so we really, I'm really excited about this garage sale season in particular. And, like a lot of you do, being able to buy it, because I do sell a lot of clothes, but I would rather be more like 50% or less clothes, of my store. And when I do buy clothes, only focus on, like, I bought a Levi's jacket again while I was gone. It wasn't a Big E jacket like that one, but I think I'll get probably 150 for it. It was like a 1980s denim bomber jacket that's flannel lined in excellent condition. So I say 80s, it's 80s or early 90s. I'm not exactly positive. I didn't do a ton of research yet, but I do know that they sell very well. You see a lot of the trucker jackets. You see a few chore jackets, but this is the bomber jacket. It's got the elastic waist, so it's a little different. but really cool. So I'm always going to pick stuff up like that. I gave like I think it was $20 for it. So, I mean, those are always going to be scores when you find vintage items that are rare and high demand, even if it's clothing. But I'd like to move more towards stuff like that in clothing and really be able to source a lot more hard goods during the garage sale season this year, because I just enjoy that more.
Oh, I do too.
That's the goal,
That's a good goal. I'm going to keep mine at about 5% clothing, just so you know. I just hate clothing, but I do have one jacket in the store right now that the jacket itself is probably worth $50 to $75, maybe $100. It's like a 1969 or 71 or something like that Star Wars jacket. So it's old. It's a kid's jacket though, like a kid's size. But what makes it so valuable is it has 3 patches that they added to it. And one of the patches is from A New Hope, but it's the concept patch. They didn't actually release that artwork for the movie. So it's like an ultra rare patch. That one patch is like super hard to find. So I listed it for $500 and I've already sent out a couple offers on it. I'm like, this thing already getting interest, and it's going to sell at some point, maybe not for $500, but I was like, I'm going to put it out there and see what happens. But that kind of stuff I do like. Because that brings you back to, that's nostalgia. Now, just finding a whatever you said, Levi or something, I'm like,
it's just a denim jacket.
Yeah, I've sold denim jackets, but I'm the one that's going to probably pass that by and be like, Tanya, you can look at the clothes if you want to. I'm going to go over here to this stuff or whatever. I have looked at clothes, especially vintage stuff, but it's just hard for me. Like I'm not a clothes guy anyway. I'm a t-shirt and, stay comfortable kind of guy. Right. I'm not going to go to the store and buy myself a bunch of nice. I mean, I go to Rural King to buy my pants up here because they're $10 a pair. That's, and they're comfortable. That's what I do. People might say, well, try these, these $100 pair are really good too. Like, I don't care. I don't care because the $10 ones fit good and they wear good and they're $10, So.
Well, nearly everything I wear these days has come from a yard sale or a thrift shop. I mean, you see, well, I'm going to reach the wrong direction, but you see this, like I don't think I ever owned, a shirt that had a polo thing on it until I started hitting yard sales and thrift stores. But I mean, to me, it's just about it fits good. So if I pick one up and I say, I think that looks big enough for me, I might try that on and it fits good, then, and it is, I mean, it's not worth the money they charge for it in the store, but it typically is made better. Sometimes these are 10 years old and they still don't have a hole washed in it, And sometimes you buy a t-shirt at Walmart and wash it twice and it's already got holes coming in it. So
I know.
But yeah, that's one of the biggest things for me, man. I'm telling you. And I think I might have said this when I was on that live at the Rocky Top. He said, what's the favorite thing about reselling? I said, man, t-shirts and shorts, flip-flops. That's it. I mean, I was stuck in that khaki and dress shirt world for so long in the classroom that it was just so nice to not have to get up and be all buttoned up, and I don't mind dressing up for an occasion if it's necessary, but man, when it starts to be a burden after like 20 years, so I was just, man, getting up and putting on my athletic shorts and just an old t-shirt and flip-flops and a hat and, just being done for the day, that's great. I like that.
Oh yeah, I agree. Totally. The freedom that it brings. That's what I like. Right. Well, we got something special we'll read. We got an email, and then we'll go into our sell of the week, comment of the week, dad joke, and all that stuff. But we got this email the other day, and this was just really cool. I like this. We don't get a ton of emails, but we do get a few here and there. But this was pretty cool. This is from Brett and Leah. It's L-I-A. I'm guessing that's Leah. Brett is the one typing. He says, "Hey, hello, old guys. Just wanted to say you both are doing a great job. I really enjoy the podcast. Don't stop with what you're doing. I enjoy the corny dad jokes, the miscellaneous topics, and the eBay sales. I'm 47, a dad. I'm corny, and I've been selling on eBay for about 21 years. I relate to all of it. Thank you for what you both are doing. Brett, the bearded Mexican dragon." eBay store, Treasure Time Trove. So thank you, Brett and Leah. We really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
We love to hear from you guys. We love the comments and all that. And you're welcome to shoot us an email, something like that. But that was really neat. I thought that was nice of him. But he did say this, and I'll let this be his dad joke. You know, I'm sure you read it, so I'm not going to use it as my own because I don't want to get beat. But he said, I've made up my own dad jokes through the years. And he says, what kind of candy does a happy cowboy eat? And I was like, I wonder. Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Pretty
That's
good.
good.
That's
Good one. Yeah.
good dad joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, my favorite part of the email that he sent, and I don't know if he'll be watching this. I assume he probably will. My favorite part was when he said relatable, because more than, to me, we talk a lot about trying to be ourselves and be genuine. And I said early on my own channel when I started making videos that I felt like being relatable was one of the most important things you can ever do if you're going to make videos for whatever genre you're in. If you can't be relatable to people, then I mean, nobody's going to be interested. And I know that we're not going to be everyone's, flavor of Jolly Rancher, that's okay. But for the people that find the podcast or that choose to watch and enjoy it, I want it to relate to them, because, that's important. And, we talk about enough subjects that surely most people can find something that they're interested in, but relatable is important. I mean, that really made me, that part was just great just to hear that, because that's something you wonder about. You wonder, are people really, are they able to connect with who I am? And so, I would say that to anybody out there trying to do YouTube in any capacity, don't try to be something you're not, and just do your best to be relatable to people. Because, man, that means that's what made all those relationships at Omaha so cool when I got there. To walk in, and so many people that were there that chose to come, they were exactly like they were when you watch their channel. And so what I felt like was relatable in person, it was 100% what I expected. And that speaks volumes to me.
I think that is the single best piece of advice for a new YouTuber, whether it be a podcast or a personal channel. You cannot, in this realm anyway, I don't know about other types of YouTube channels, but in the reselling world, you need to be real. You need to be yourself and be authentic. If you try to put on a show, you're doomed, man. Like you can't do it. And right here we are. You are who you are. I'm who I am. We're not trying to impress anybody necessarily, anything like that. And I know people, I think about this sometimes. I'm a little bit self-conscious. They probably are going to be some people out there saying, look, they're trying to have this event, this big event. They're trying to be the best event. That's just who I am. I want it to be the best it can be. And I know you've got the same sentiments. You want it to be good. And I don't want it to be the best, the biggest that it can be, because I want the notoriety, or I want you to get the notoriety. I want it to be a great, great, great event. I want everybody that comes to walk away saying, man, that was the best event I've ever been to. I want them to say that. And that's the goal I shoot for. I've always shot high on eBay, shot high on YouTube, and I don't have no secret formula to tell you guys how, my success has come. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else by no means, but me and Tanya both have always set our goals high, and it's only the good Lord blessing us that we got to where we've been.
Oh,
but
sure.
This last week we put out the 20th video on the Old Pass channel, 20th video, and monetized, like 100% monetized. And I'm like, how, thank you. But
deserving.
When I started, putting out videos, the last thing on my mind was, I want to get monetized. Now I had goals. I want to get to this number. I want to get to this blah, blah, whatever. Like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to just ho-hum around at it. I'm going to do it.
Right.
And I have goals, but my goal is not to make money. My goal is to be helpful. If it happens to make money, that's fine. But the number one goal is to try to help other people. And that's why I love channels like you. And man, you're growing. Like, you're at 600. And I think the last time I looked, 40, is it 20? But I
25.
mean, that's crazy. You know, when I first saw you, you had like 30 subs. And I was like, this guy's too good to
Yeah.
be not getting more people. And there are just so many people that are down there in the trenches at 30 subs, 50 subs, 100
Yeah.
subs, and they're scratching and clawing to get ahead and go further. And listen, I'm not special. I'm not anything special that I got. You know, I'm almost at 1,500 at 20 videos. That doesn't mean that I done something better than them. I just happened to hit it just right on, you know, a couple of the videos done great. Can I tell you how that happened? No, I don't really know, but I'm thankful for it. But at the same time, I forget who it was that quote, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. Now that you have some people listening to you and following you and they're listening to your advice, you better take that serious because they're looking to you and they're saying, this guy knows what he's doing. So I'll watch him and he'll teach me how to do this. Like he'll help me do this, you know? So it's not just, I'm going to go make a video for the fun of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is fun. I enjoy it, but at the same time, I look at it like people had enough faith in me to hit that subscribe button and to hit that thumbs up button and hit whatever that got me to where I'm at, got you to where you're at. They didn't have to, you know, they didn't have to. And while I'm on the topic, you know, I said we're monetized. We're also rich. We have made 65 cents. I mean, we're burning the house.
Oh man. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So I'm gonna have a really big bank account when you show up in August. The shed will be full of money.
You buy the groceries and I'll cook them.
There you go. There you go. That'll be the way it'll happen.
You better save it all.
One can of corn and a pack of biscuits probably be all.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
But
Good
yeah, I
grief,
mean, I just think it's a very humbling thing, you know.
I'm sure.
Especially when we was on the live with the locker room guys and they was talking, you know, Shane's got Soda City Flips. He has 3,000 subscribers and he was talking, he's still like 400 hours away from being monetized. And I was like, man, there's no way. And Ben's got over 2,000 and he's that far away. And I'm like, how did I get there? Like, listen, I don't deserve it no more than they do. Nope. None of us really deserve it, but, and I don't know. It's just the good Lord blesses, you know, that's all I can say.
That's true.
That's just
that's
all
true. You know, I think, you know, and this is not this, you know, they're friends. This is not a critique at all of them. This is my view of YouTube because some of this has happened to me too. You know, when y'all shouted me out, when people do stuff like that, or they bring you on a live, you know, there's always an uptick in subs. And I've said this a lot, you know, if you're not very careful, you can get on YouTube trying to make a channel and you can just be about chasing subs. And, you know, you can get the subs for the monetization side quickly if you really work your community and your niche that you're in on YouTube and you work it hard, and especially doing shorts as well. Shorts tend to generate, if you can make some really fun, interesting shorts that relate to your content, you can draw subs that way. And I don't knock anybody for doing that. You know, it's like they've got a box checked. I don't have that box checked. So it's not a knock, but I'm just saying there are methods on YouTube to chase and acquire subs. But if you don't have that organic growth at the base that are choosing your channel because the first time they saw a video from you, they really, again, related to you and they found something helpful. And therefore, they didn't just click on it and click away, but they stayed with you. And the next time you put a video out, they watch the whole thing again. It takes some dedicated subscribers that don't just, you know, I could call on my family right now if I really wanted to. I could get in my phone and I could probably, and I told my wife, I said, if I get within 50 subs of being monetized and I've got the hours, I might at that point say, hey, go sub my channel if you hadn't, you know, just do me a favor. Open up your YouTube account, sub my channel. I'm this many subs away. But I mean, I'm not going to pull that valve right now. I mean, why would I do that? It wouldn't do me any good because they're not going to watch. They don't care anything about reselling. Right. But if I've built enough audience to almost be there and that's all I was lacking, that's what I would do. I'm just saying it's organic growth is always going to be the best because at the end of the day, it's not as much on YouTube. When it comes to monetization, it's not so much about how many subscribers you have. It's about how many views you're getting and how long they view when they choose to view. You know, if you've got 500 people, you can have, 3,000 subs, but if you got 500 people within that watch your entire video every time it comes out, I'm not saying you're going to get rich, but you'll have a good base of ad revenue that will come in at that point. But if you have, I've seen people that have 30,000 subs, man, and they don't have a view count any higher than some people that have 1,500 subs because they've reached for subs and reached to other people that have bigger followings for subs, and they've gotten the click subscribe thing, but nobody watches the content hardly out of that group, So you got to build your own audience, and there's nothing better than building your own audience as you go. That audience sticks with you for the most part.
And like we said, the organic, the authentic, that's the best kind. It definitely is. It definitely is. All right. Well, what do you got for sale of the week this week?
Okay, so mine's going to sound, I think I might have did this a couple of weeks ago, sound like a repeat, and I've got to amend something I said both in some of my videos and on here, but I sold the other collar from that invisible fence lot that I bought. So I've sold the second collar for another $200. And when I dug this one out today, because I had separately packaged the stuff, I'd been saying that it was $6. Well, I dug that thing out, and the sticker on the original bag was actually $2.
Oh my goodness!
So I spent $2 for the 2 collars and the 9 power caps. I sold the 7 power caps for $100 and each collar for $200. So $500 for a $2 buy total. But $200 this week.
Can't you do any better than that? Come on.
Look, I was shocked when I saw that $2. And this is the funny thing. I'd already said $6 in the video, holding the bag up in front of the camera. And I was going back and editing, and I saw that big old 2 where I put it right in front of the camera. And I thought, man, you're an idiot. You didn't even read it. I've done that. So anyway, it was funny, but
I caught myself the other day in one of my videos after it dropped saying I was doing some kind of, I was talking like if they buy 3, they get it for the price of 4, I think I said. Instead of saying if they buy 3, they get it for the price of 2. I was saying it totally backwards. And I'm sure there's people out there going, this poor old boy can't count, he can't add, he can't talk. He from the sticks of Tennessee. He needs help.
Somebody got ripped off.
Somebody got ripped off. Buy 3 and I'll charge you another one, please.
That's the kind of deal a used car salesman will give you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh goodness.
Oh man.
Well, for our sale of the week, this is Tanya's. This is one of Tanya's finds. I'm not sure what we gave for these, but I'm wanting to say it was about $30 for the entire set. We bought this entire set of china that came with plates, bowls, cups, like the serving tray, all of it. And we separated it because there was enough value, single pieces. We separated it like that. So this was Lennox bowls, like the china bowls, like soup bowls, I guess. And, but the name on them was Caribe or something like that. We had them listed for $42.99 each, had 8 of them. I woke up one morning, all 8 of them had sold to the same buyer.
Oh man.
$350 almost. And I was like, goodness. So I told Tanya, I said, we're done today. We don't have to sell nothing else. We're good. But yeah, all 8 of them sold the same buyer. So needless to say, that package would bounce like a basketball when I got done packing it. I wanted to make sure they was not getting broke. Yeah. But I love stuff like that because, first of all, it was a neat item, is a valuable item. But also I say this all the time. One of my favorite things about eBay is connecting a buyer with something they're probably not going to find too many other places. You ain't going to find that on Amazon, Walmart, most sites you go to, you're not going to find that. You come to eBay, you find it. We are supplying something that people are looking for. So I was excited about that one. Yeah,
absolutely. That's an awesome sale. I got a reselling question about that. I'm curious. So, and I probably should know this off the top of my head, but is it $200 or $250 that you get in insurance with priority? Is it
100? It's 100.
Is it just 100? Oh, okay. I couldn't remember. I thought it was 2 on one of them. Maybe I'm thinking about another.
I think it's, unless they've changed it and I hadn't paid attention, it used to be $100.
Okay. Well, my thought was this.
FedEx, all of it was $100.
Did you pay for insurance on that? It being like a $400 something package?
I did.
Have you ever thought about have you ever thought about on a package like that when it can be shipped in two separate boxes, paying for an extra shipping label so
I
that you
have
get the
thought about it.
$100 coverage on each? Yeah,
I
I
have
didn't know
thought
if
about it.
anyone else. That's the reason I was bringing that up, just to throw that out there for other people that maybe sometimes it costs more to add insurance than it probably costs to get an extra label. So
Mhm.
sometimes if it's an order you can split into two shipments, you can get that coverage on each label that you purchase, and that'll help you about insuring something that, especially something that's very delicate that you're worried about making it. Of course, I'm
Mhm.
like you. It's like the Bubble Boy, not American Bubble Boy, but like the movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes when it's like that,
Yep.
it's the Bubble Boy when it's going out the door. But if there is any apprehension, I've only had one package that broke, and that was early on when I didn't understand how well you really needed
Mhm.
the package to keep that from happening, which sounds bad, but it just, it was what it was. Happened probably within the first 2 months. And they sent me a picture. It was literally in lots of pieces,
Oh my.
so, and they were sad. It was a really, really expensive baking dish.
Oh
Like you're talking
man.
about Mesa Blue. I forget what the brand, Noritake Mesa Blue, I think is what it's
Yeah.
called. So it's like the
Is it
9x13.
is it Noritake? I've always called it Noritake.
I have no idea.
I don't. I
Look,
mean, where I'm from, you just call it whatever you want to call it.
I had a sweater in my video today that the brand was AKOO. I said, so it's Ako, Aku, Ako. I said I don't know. I said I was gonna go with Ako. I said, maybe somebody can tell me. I'd never heard it said. I said, and I didn't look it up, so I'm
That's
not good
funny.
with that stuff.
No, I'm not either. As far as the insurance goes, I will more or less, instead of paying that extra money, I will put that extra money in packaging and
Yeah,
just go ahead and insure it that way. Kind of
right.
insure it. Like what I did with the plates was I laid like 3 of the medium-sized bubbles in between each plate, or 4 pieces, and
Hmm.
built them up, and then I wrapped them this way like 3 or 4 times, and this way 3 or 4 times, and then I take this paper right here and I make myself a big cradle in the bottom of the box. Then I put the plates in, then I make another cradle around the sides, and then I cradle the top. Like, you're going to have to get through the paper and like probably 3 to 4 inches of bubbles to break them.
Right.
So it can be done, but you could drop it from 8 feet and probably not break them.
Oh,
So
sure.
if you
Right.
drop them off of one of them big old tall lines that they go across, 10 feet high, it might possibly break it, but it would have to be a pretty good little thump. But
Right.
now I've worked in warehousing before, and I've saw the way things get handled. I've seen people run over them with forklifts and all, and then throw them on a pallet. Like, it's good. So if that happens, it's getting broke. But
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
I've
I
always
also
tried to do it
double
that
box.
way.
I don't know if you do that sometimes. Sometimes I'll double box something as well.
I
I'll
have.
still do all the bubble wrapping. I'll put it in a tight fitting box if it's a smaller item that's
Yep.
breakable. And then I'll put that smaller box in a medium box, and I'll wrap the box or either stuff paper, like you said,
Yep.
all the way around it. If I have some filler like foam or something like that, sometimes I put chunks of that
Yep.
on the bottom and on each side, because I get a lot of secondhand packaging materials.
Yep.
But yeah, you got to do you got to do everything you can. I learned that really quick. You got to think about the worst case scenario because it might happen
Yeah.
before it gets there.
The worst case is probably going to happen better than the best case, more than likely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when I haven't done this in a while, but I was selling a lot of like old CD decks and CD changers and old stuff, like the
Right.
bigger. I actually went to the Dollar Tree and bought a bunch of the pool noodles,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
we was taking the pool noodles and we would cut them in half, and then we would
Hmm.
cut them to fit, and we would layer the bottom of the box, and then sit that down on that and layer the sides and make basically a cage out of pool noodles. And it's got like 2 inches of foam all the way around, and I never had anything get broke.
You saying that though, like when they do original packaging, it's always those molded styrofoam corners on stuff like
Mhm.
that. I mean, you could take something like that and just put one on each on the top and bottom edge, and then take shrink wrap and go around and do the same thing front to
Yep.
back, and you probably wouldn't have to worry about anything because
I
that's the
know.
place that'll take the impact. That's a good idea.
The instant foam packs, I don't know what they're called. The American Bubble Boy sells them. They're expensive. I don't
Hmm.
buy them, but like, you pop them mix them up
Right.
and they expand,
Yeah.
that stuff is probably the greatest packaging material in the world, but it's so expensive. But I know like a lot of computer people will do stuff like that. And, I got one in a package when I bought something on a promotion and they sent some free or something. And I was like, this is awesome, but it's like $10 for 2 packs or something. I can't afford it, but
Yeah.
you have to be
This
big time.
something I've thought about in regards to that before. I don't know if I'm curious in the comments if anybody's ever tried this. The idea has gone through my head if I ever had the right item that I felt like I really needed it. But I've thought about like the great stuff, the spray foam that you can get in the
Yeah.
can. I've thought about seriously like the good like freezer bags, like pumping some of that into it and then closing it off because it keeps expanding. No, you can't. I know you couldn't overfill it or pop open and get all over it.
Yeah.
It's sticky as all get outs. But if you put some in it, closed it off, and then stuffed it down between the box and the item, it should expand and kind of mold around it.
Yeah.
That's what you'd expect it to do. I don't know if anybody's ever tried that, but I've had that in my mind that if the right item came along that I needed to ship, that's what I'm going to do, or I'm at least going to try it. And I figure what I'll do if I do try that is I'll try to wrap the item really well in paper just in case I have a blowout, so I don't ruin the item. But I'm really curious as how that will work. I think it would probably work well.
I will tell you this about that. That stuff will absolutely destroy something. When my mother-in-law and my father-in-law's house, they was getting I think it was their shower. Yeah, their shower wall had rotted. They was getting a new one put in. And I was putting in a new window in they have a small window in their shower. And she wanted a new one, so I put her a new one in. Well, when I had redone everything and they had added the plates back, but they didn't have the what am I trying to say? The like the marine plywood they was using. They didn't have that back on yet. Well, I just sprayed foam to insulate the wall where I had ruined the insulation. I sprayed foam in there, and then we put the boards back on and, screwed them back up. The next day, I'm down at her garage and I look up and the siding on her house had fell off. I'm like, what happened? That stuff had expanded so bad that the plywood was stronger than the outside. It pushed, because there was rod out there, it pushed that off, knocking siding and everything off, and it busted it. So I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So I had to go tear all that off the outside and redo a whole big, it was like a 4-foot section it had broke. So I'll say this, if you're going to do it, you better put it in a garbage bag. That way it's got room to move, because if you put too much in the box, it'll blow the box open, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Well,
it's
and
crazy.
like I said, you got to be careful how much of it's used, because it looks like a small can, but a very small amount of it goes a long way. I mean, I don't know you could probably look up the expansion rate of it. Like, say, if you had a cup, how much volume a cup of it would be after it expands, but it's a lot. It would probably nearly fill up a gallon jug.
Oh, yeah.
At least, so.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. All right, what you got on comment of the week?
Okay, comment of the week. I went with, I think you might have used the same person last week, but it was Susie Frost, 6388. I just thought this was a really interesting comment. We were talking about horror movies and things like that and real true crime and all that last week. And she commented that she said, we only locked when there was an escapee from Leavenworth. She said one escapee came to our house, but he went on his way after we didn't answer the door. And I thought, because Leavenworth is a famous prison, of course. It's a federal penitentiary. It used to be maximum security, but today I think it's just medium security. But they've had some of the the worst dudes ever there. So I was thinking, man, escapee, and knocking on the door, that just seemed a little bit. Because that's the kind of stuff that scares me. I told you, like the Hollywood stuff, I don't watch it, but it doesn't get in my head as bad. But now that true crime stuff, like you like, that stuff goes to bed with me, man. There's something about it being real, like it was unsolved mysteries and most wanted. My dad would watch that stuff when I was a kid, and I'd go to sleep, and undoubtedly one of them dudes would be chasing me or something. I'd have the worst nightmares. So thinking about living that close to the federal pen where all those really bad dudes are, So
well, that's funny. You picked. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was going to say, fun fact. That's actually the one that Michael Vick was at.
Really?
Yeah, when the dog stuff happened.
Yeah. Well, my comment of the week kind of goes along with that. It was we mentioned him a little bit ago, the quirky picker Chad. He said the worst thing about watching Dateline or cold case shows is when you are friends with one of the people that committed one of the crimes. It's not pleasant. He actually messaged me and told me what to watch. That one of his friends was implicated. Like I was like, that's wild. Now, I mean, that's getting really close to home when something like that happens, like that's, I don't know. Cause we like to think the best about everybody, especially our own. Nobody we know does anything wrong, so that's hard. And I mean, that's the way we think of people, but listen, we all do stuff wrong. I mean, that's just the plain simple truth. But yeah, that's, we're definitely living in different times. I'll just say it like that.
Absolutely. Wasn't it the Murdoch family? Wasn't that one of those recent ones? The guy, wasn't that his last name? I think he was red. They were redheaded, maybe. It was on the news a lot here a while back. I think that was the last name. But when I read that comment from Chad, it made me think of that because someone that I knew had, whoever it was like all over the news. They did specials on it, like the Dateline type specials. It was a big, big deal. I think it was maybe his wife and kid or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much because I'll get something wrong. It's been too long and I don't watch it. I don't watch it, so I don't have a deep knowledge of it. When I see it, I flip the channel. But I heard a talk about it, and that was someone that they were friends with. That's why it struck me, because I thought, wow, I didn't think I would ever even hear that comment again. And this was like a neighbor that they were friends with, and that happened. So I thought, wow, that'd be so weird, man.
Oh, so weird. All right, let's move on to happier thoughts.
Please. I like that idea.
Okay, dad joke time.
You got me seeing your Chucky mask now,
Oh, man. All right, it's time for me to enter into Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Roman Reigns, Bob Backlund mode. And
go for it.
For those of you who are not familiar with what I'm saying, those are the top 4 longest reigning champions of all time in wrestling. I'm fixing to join their ranks by retaining my title week after week after week for the next 20 years.
Oh, man.
We're getting beat again.
If it happens, it happens.
Oh, it's not going to happen. All right. I won last week, so I'll go first this week. And by the way, if you're not noticed yet, it's the Old Pass versus the Bama Jaybird Reseller. Title's on the line right now. Title's on the line.
Yeah.
So my wife, here we go. You ready? My wife asked me the other day where I got so much candy. You know what I said?
Killing me, man. I hate losing. I
told her I always have a few Twix up my sleeves.
Oh my gosh.
Boom. Right there it is. That's the winner. That is a winner.
Well, this might be a draw. It's maybe like one of those count out situations. We don't know yet.
I mean, if nobody instant wins, we leave it up to the comments, and they're going to vote for me. So you lose. But go ahead.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. So what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back?
I know this. A stick.
Oh my gosh. Just go ahead and end this thing. Stop the recording. I'm done. It's rigged.
Rigged, he says. Rigged.
Man, I'm tired of reading dad jokes already. I read 500 of them and pick one
I'm telling you right now.
Oh, my goodness.
You got one win. You better enjoy that one win.
I'm telling you right now, I work real hard. I'll be studying dad jokes every day. I'll know so many. I mean, I'm not playing, man.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, gosh. It will not be every week. I refuse for it to be every week. It will not be. No, sir. I'll memorize them all if I have to. you have to get with Brett, get one of your own.
Yeah, really, Brett. I'm going to pay you to be my rider.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm going to have to come up with my own, I guess. I don't know.
Good grief. I really expected to win this week.
Yeah, well, Most
It makes
people
it really
do.
disappointing, you know.
Yeah, that's.
I always expect to win, so
You should probably get used to that feeling, though. So
I think I said that to you 2 weeks ago.
you did.
I'm kind of regretting it.
Yeah.
Golly, man.
I'm not good at
All
many
right.
things, but a bad dad joke I can perform well.
Well, at least you're willing to admit the other stuff.
Yeah, not too good at many things, but I'm good at the bad dad
Oh gosh,
jokes. All right,
good
so
grief.
that's going to probably do it for this show. Um,
Sounds
one
good.
last time for all 7 of you that's still with us
After an hour and a half.
after an hour and a half.
Yeah.
One last time for all you still watching. Tickets are on sale right now. The Eventbrite link will be in the description if you want to come. We would love to meet you. And that's not us trying to sell you a ticket. That's genuine. We would love to meet you. I absolutely loved it last year. There's about 60 people last year. I loved every minute of it. And I would have loved it if we could have stayed all night and I could have talked to everybody as long as they wanted to talk. And listen, I know that if we have more people show up, if I'm expecting more people, and we've already got 40 or 50 at least. So if you want to come, do it now. Don't wait. But I wish I had all night to just sit there and talk to everybody, get to know everybody on a more personal level, because that building the relationship is the best part. Like, that's the best part. You just can't. And in the age we live in, where this right here has replaced the art of conversation.
Oh yeah.
Let me get on my phone. Let me talk to you that way. That has taken away so much of our time and our energy, and communication and getting to know people is awesome, especially when it's like-minded people.
Yep.
So great.
Agreed. There's nothing like the sense of community that you get from that type of connection and interpersonal skills, man, through conversation and so many. When I was teaching, so many kids don't even have that anymore. I mean, they just lack it altogether, and it makes sense that we're nervous in a crowd, you know, because they don't know how to communicate. But you know, I'm glad we're doing this. It's just, to me, it's one of the most exciting things that I've gotten to be a part of in so long. So I'm as you said earlier, I'm pumped. I'm ready for it to get here.
Let's use a new word. We're stoked. I'm not even sure if that's the right word. What do the kids say nowadays? We're jazzed. No, that's not what they say.
I don't know.
We're pumped. We're stoked. We're excited. We're hyped. They say that. But I mean, and it's real. We're not putting this on. Yeah. This is not. We're super excited.
Look, you said what the kids say these days, buddy. Listen, I met a kid when I was out thrifting the other day with my camera on, and he goes to the University of Alabama, and he sets up at these pop-up shops and sells stuff. And so he saw my camera, kind of followed me a couple of times, and he finally asked me if I did YouTube and if I was a reseller. And we had this conversation. Well, he started following me on Instagram, and it's not a long story. Look, I sent him a message, told him I'd found some cool stuff like he likes to find. He said, "Man, send me the pictures." So I sent him the pictures. The next message I got, I needed an interpreter. I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Like the lingo, I was like, okay, I'm assuming this is good, but that's all I really knew. So I felt really old.
Have you heard the one where they say, "I like your drip"?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I heard that the first time, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You like my what? My drip? What's my drip? I don't have a clue what you're talking about." I look it up, and I'm like, "They like my clothes." Okay,
I wasn't aware I was leaking. That's what.
Yeah, what am I? Is something coming off? You know, I know I'm old, but I shouldn't be that old yet. Oh goodness,
it'll be something bad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, we need a dictionary for old people to understand young people.
Good grief. Because
my kids don't talk like that. We homeschooled, and they're just country kids, and they talk like us. They don't have lingo, so I don't know. I don't know any of it. But
geez, let me throw this in there too. I should have said this earlier. On our way home, and I know we need to get done because we've run past our time. But
you're good.
On our way home, we were probably 30 minutes from home, 30, 40 minutes from home, still on the interstate. We were coming out of Tupelo. I said, well, maybe we were closer to an hour from home. We've been out of Tupelo for a while. I'm headed into Alabama. And just up in front of us, there was a kid driving a Jeep. We didn't know it was a kid at the time. So he's driving this Jeep, and he's in the inside lane where we're at. And I watched this. I mean, this is happening like 100 feet ahead of me. It's not very far at all. He's going around this big 18-wheeler, and as he gets by, he goes to get back in the outside lane, but about 2 foot of his Jeep is still behind the 18-wheeler. And so he literally just behind his tire clips the front end of this 18-wheeler. And I don't know how in the world that Jeep didn't roll. It kicked to the side. And I mean, it's just smoking and it whips around, and it's shaking. It goes way off down in the gully and back up and stops. Stops right against the tree line. So, we're whooping off the road because Casey's a first responder. She's wanting to get out and go make sure he's okay. And traffic's not even slowing down. We're on the opposite side. She finally gets across. By the time she gets over there, he's getting out. And of course, he was scared. He might have had some drip going on. I don't know, but he was scared to death. But he was okay. He was about 20 years old. So, but I mean, you talk about scary. Watching that happen in front of you, I thought I was about to see that 18-wheeler just chew it up because it went literally right in front of him. I don't know how it didn't literally T-bone it and just chew it up. Man. Good Lord took care of that kid. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. We seen a wreck. It was actually about a month ago. We was headed towards Nashville, and this guy comes just zip, right past us.
Yeah.
And he's driving erratic the whole way. We'd seen him a couple times, and he gets like 30 seconds down the road, and he gets slowed down in traffic. Well, he's one of them that's in and out, trying to get by. And all of a sudden you see him go, do this number, and he gets in this lane. Well, it stops too quick, and he slams on his brakes. Well, his back end swings around. He slams that barricade. I mean, just destroyed his little sports car. Didn't hurt him. He got out, and he's like doing this number, and I'm like, buddy, that 10 seconds ahead you got really just paid off,
Oh, yeah.
Moral of the story, drive halfway decent.
Yeah.
It pays off.
Real, right? Yeah.
It pays off. It does. I don't speed much, but Tanya calls me a grandpa driver because I don't speed a whole lot.
That's what my kid used to say. It is what it is. 5 miles over the speed limit's about my max generally. I'm all about not getting a ticket.
Oh, yeah. If I'm in a super big hurry, I might go a little faster, but not generally. Like, I generally don't let myself get in a hurry enough that I'm going to put myself in danger,
Same.
But, yeah, that's whatever.
That's scary stuff happening in front of you, though.
Man, any road, anywhere speed's involved is dangerous. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like our old preacher used to say, you're just like 24 inches from certain death.
Yeah, that's true.
Move over 2 foot and see what happens,
It's true. I mean, it's so true.
Very true. All right. Well, we hope to see you at the meetup. We know it's 5 months away, but we're going to pump out that information week after week. We're going to keep it fresh. We hope you will come and be with us. It's going to be a lot that night. The 5 hours. I mean, really, we're 4 to 9, but from 9 to 10 is cleanup time. So, anybody that wants to hang out and talk's welcome to. Those of us working the event will have to stop and clean up. But yeah, it's going to be fun. We made it about as long as we possibly could for a one-night event for us. And then the locker room guys have the bowling thing the night before. And we're excited. Like I'm really, really excited. I know Josh is excited. We're hoping to have a ton of people come out where we can get to know some more people and see some people that we've already seen and just have a good time. But anything else to add?
I think I'm good. Give me too much time, I'll think of something. So we better wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the Two Old Guys Reselling Podcast. We love having you here.
Yes.
We hope if you watched and you're still with us, you'll hit that subscribe button and hang with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, this has been Two Old Guys, and we are out.
Out of here, guys. See you later.